Big story we're breaking at this hour. This is a big Agnipath move by the Union Home Ministry where 10% reservation in CRPF Assam Rifles for Agniveers is being done. 3-year relaxation, age relaxation for Agniveers for CAPF recruitment in fact. Assam Rifles and CAPF 5-year age relaxation has been ensured. The centre is obviously firefighting the fury over Agnipath. Shreya is getting us more details on that story, but Shreya, the big question here is whether this really is going to help douse the fire.
Well, Sneha, we've seen that the uncertainty over the fact that after 4 years of working in the armed forces, the fact that they will be relaxed from their work is something that has actually resulted in a fury of protests that's happening all over the country. But right now, the Home Ministry has announced that they will keep a 10% recruitment, especially in the CAPF and Assam Rifles for those Agniveers. Apart from that, they'll also get a 3 years age relaxation to join CAPF and Assam Rifles. For the immediate batch, this age relaxation has been made for 5 years. So this is an announcement that's coming in from the MHA at a time when the situation is not really very peaceful in the country, with a lot of people, the youth especially, resorting to protests all across. Especially we've seen the kind of violent protests that happened recently in Bihar.
Move also by the Union Home Ministry, and what sort of relief does it really bring to those who are then these aspirants?
Well, Sneha, as I was pointing out, the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty over the fact that once they end their tenure of 4 years, what do they do after that? That is a question that a lot of these protesting youth are actually raising. By bringing in a 10% reservation for Agniveers and CAPFs and Assam Rifles, somewhere down the line, the MHA is also probably trying to send a message that there are plans in place to ensure that Agniveers are given a preference in jobs after they finish their 4-year tenures. Whether that will ring a bell within the protesters is something that we will have to wait and watch. But this is something that's coming in now from the MHA. Earlier we've also seen how state governments like that of UP also come out and say that they will give special preference to Agniveers while recruitment in state polices. But now it's the MHA which is officially confirming that 10% reservation will be given to Agniveers when it comes to CAPF and Assam Rifles recruitment, 3 years age relaxation and 5 years age relaxation for the immediate batch.
No, but at the same time, Shreya, questions will be asked about how are these reservations being done for, CAPF. There have never been reservations for Assam Rifles and CAPF in that sense, and that this is really not acceptable is what many will say, specifically those who've been particularly against reservation. And here are the armed forces that we're talking about, paramilitary forces.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. There are things that the government will have to come forward and clear about the fact that how will they bring in the special allocation, the special reservation, because there will be counter questions about the fact that you will also have to cater to the general category who will also be applying for these same posts. So that is a lot of clarification that the government will have to bring in. But so far, probably what we are seeing is that the government is also trying to douse the flame over the protests that are happening leading to this particular scheme that the government has bought in. The MHA also trying the same, and that's the reason they're probably trying to send in a word of assurance that there will be certain things that will be catered to when it comes to Agniveers. They will be given a special preference. However, as you rightly pointed out, there needs to be some more clarity on how these reservations will happen and how these special allocations will benefit the Agniveers directly.
The very fact that there was one amendment on Thursday, one amendment today, just speaks volumes of how the government also knows that things are really going out of hand. Look at this pictures, Shreya, that we're putting out for our viewers from across the country, particularly in Bihar also, where the protests have turned completely violent. Protesters have been resorting to vandalism. There's a lot of anger on the ground that has to be contained.
Well, absolutely, Sneha, and the fact that there hasn't been any recruitment in the armed forces for the last 2 years is somewhere down the line also a sense of insecurity that has grasped these aspirants, and that's the reason we saw that the moment the scheme was announced, there has been a very negative response to it, and the kind of protest that has taken place is extremely violent. Especially the pictures that are coming in from Bihar is a sign of the fact that these aspirants are somewhere down the line insecure about the fact that how will this entire process go forward. The main question arises that once their tenure ends, what will they do? That's an insecurity that they have, even though there has been a very specified reasoning that there will either be a financial package that they will be getting, or they will be given preference to jobs that will be made available. And as you also pointed out, that there have been reactionary amendments that have been done from the government, and something also points out to the point that probably they did not sense the ground well, or probably they wanted to do these solutions only seeing the reaction. So these are things that the government will have to put forward and rethink, and that is why we also see that there's a meeting that is scheduled today, in some time from now. So we will probably get a better and clearer picture towards the end of today if the government is mulling something more. But as of now, the MHA has announced a 10% reservation in the CAPF and Assam Rifles to send out a message to those aspirants so that the insecurity over the fact that what will they do after their 4 years tenure can somewhere down the line be addressed.
Well, absolutely, amendments after amendments, and will there be more? Shreya, the question, given that young aspirants are saying there should be a complete rollback. The opposition has found an opportunity in all of this also, saying roll this back, this is impractical. Why was the opposition not consulted? The parliamentary committees on defence, why wasn't the parliamentary committee taken into confidence? How can this scheme be brought about in this fashion without any consultation?
Well, Sneha, the opposition is all in their right to somewhere down the line try and politicize the matter. Given the fact that this is a democracy, the opposition will try to nitpick over the fact. But that's also a question that why wasn't the Parliamentary Committee on Defence actually not consulted to try and get an analysis on the ground? Because what we do see right now that somewhere the government wasn't really prepared to sense the reaction that will come in immediately, and we haven't really seen a positive reaction that has happened across. Now, when it comes to the opposition as well, we've seen the Congress call a protest yesterday here tomorrow here in Delhi. We've also seen the RLD chief call for the panchayat over this particular scheme in the coming week. So there are politicization over this anger that has now brewed so far as the aspirants of the Agniveers are concerned. But you know, we'll have to wait and watch today, because there's a crucial meeting that's lined up at around 10:30, and probably if there's something that comes out of it is something we'll have to wait and watch. But the government is keeping a close watch, is why we can understand, because these amendments that are coming in, the recent one where we also see that the MHA has made an announcement, clearly gives a picture that the government is keeping a close watch over the protests that are happening regarding the scheme, and we will have to wait and watch that whether there will be some more changes that will come in.
Interesting developments from today. Shreya, thanks for getting us up to speed with that. Age limit has been raised, reservations in CAPF and Assam Rifles is what the Union Home Ministry has said in an attempt to douse the fire that we're seeing across the country.